Saving your money in the bank is usually seen as a pretty smart thing to do. And it still is, but the truth is that most people don't account for inflation and the rising cost of goods. The good news though is that there's one simple thing you can do to not stop inflation, but at least help alleviate that issue a little bit. And that, in my opinion, is opening a high yield savings account. And in today's video, I'm gonna go over the 4 best high yield savings accounts for 2026. I'm gonna rank these accounts by the ones that I genuinely think are the best, but just a quick disclaimer, rates and promos still can change, of course, so feel free to check the current numbers on whatever accounts page you are signing up for before you go ahead and sign up. All right, I'm gonna start with my favorite one because I personally think it's the most unfair. Moomoo is technically a brokerage and not a bank, so it's not a traditional high yield savings account, but here is why it gets first place on the list. They have a cash sweep program, meaning your uninvested cash can earn interest. And right now they're running a promo that is basically a high yield savings account on steroids. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up the offer on screen because it is, like I said, very good, but there are a few things that make it so good. I'm on the Bank Bounty site, which you can check it out if you want to. It's bankbounty.io. Or I'll go ahead and just include the link in the description straight away, so you can just go ahead and click on that. But we're gonna go ahead and click the Moomoo offer. And as you can see, right away, they're offering an 8.1% APY, which is pretty unheard of. I mean, most APYs are usually about 3 to 5%, and the average is usually about 4%. I'm gonna go ahead and cover more in this video, obviously. But when we scroll down, you'll see that yes, they do offer an 8.1% APY with the small detail that it's only for the first 2 months that you sign up. So obviously it's not as good as getting 8.1% forever, but you're getting 8.1%, like I said, for the first 2 months, which is, I think it's unbeatable. I think this is the best offer you'll be able to find from any brokerage or high yield savings account. But when that 8.1% runs out though, you don't go to 0, you instead go to 3.35% APY. And obviously you can go ahead and read the fine print. The numbers do change from time to time. So I mean, that can go up, this 3% number, it can go up, it can go down. You'll just have to go ahead and check in on that. But right away, 8.1% is by far the best rate you'll be able to find, at least for the short term. But here is where the bonus gets even better, and honestly, part of the reason why I say that this is the best one you can go ahead and sign up with if you're just starting. And that's because in addition to the 8.1% APY, they also have the other half of the welcome bonus, which is a stock bonus for Nvidia. Even though they're giving you Nvidia stock, you can go ahead and sell this right away and just go ahead and funnel it into the 8.1% APY that you're gonna get, or you can leave it invested if you want to. Obviously, that's up to you. But really think about what this deposit bonus is doing for us. Obviously, the highest tier right here is you're gonna have to deposit $100,000. Most people probably don't have that sitting around. But if we do something a little bit more conservative, let's say $2,000, we're gonna get a $100 stock bonus. 100 is 5% of 2,000, so we're essentially boosting our APY by another 5%. So you might say I'm kind of cheating by saying that you can get a 13.1% APY, but I mean, that's essentially what you're getting. Like I said, you're only getting the boosted 8.1% APY for the first 2 months of sign up, but I mean, that's still very, very good, right? Especially once you go ahead and, like I said, let's just go back to this 2,000 number and get this extra $100 bonus, then you really are basically getting a 13.1% APY, at least for that early bonus. And once again, once you go ahead and get this bonus and you go ahead and max out the APY, or I guess your first 2 months are over, you can go ahead and switch on to a different bank or brokerage if you want to. So it's not like you're locked into Moomoo forever, of course. Another thing to think about that is obvious is that Moomoo is a brokerage, like I said, so you can start investing if you want to do that. I mean, the platform is pretty nice. It's pretty good for trading as well. I'm not going to go ahead and dive too deep into that, because if you're interested in that, you can go ahead and just pull up this page yourself and go ahead and kind of look through this stuff. But one thing that I will mention over here is the insurance. As you can see right here, you do have up to $500,000 in insurance. I believe the way it's set up though is that $250,000 of that is limited to cash. So if you wanted the full 500,000, you would have to split some of your money into, you know, maybe stocks. Obviously, not all of you guys are going to have $250,000 to invest, so not really worth getting too worked up about. But yeah, just figured I'd mention it just in case that was something you were worried about. And also, obviously, Moomoo is a regulated platform. It's regulated by the SEC and FINRA. The company that owns Moomoo is Futu, and they are publicly traded, so it's not not like this is just some random app that got started up that is, maybe likely to go bankrupt or anything. This is an established company, so that's why they're able to afford these bonuses. Obviously, they're trying to draw you in to become a trader to go ahead and make more money. But if you're just using the platform for that bonus, then, you're making pretty easy money. Key thing to realize right here is that it doesn't need to be a lump sum deposit to go ahead and, get bonus on that money. So yeah, you can add more money, and obviously you're not just limited to whatever your initial deposit was. So if you initially deposit $1,000, but later on deposit an additional $10,000, you're not only going to get an 8.1% APY on that, initial 1,000, you'll get it on the full 11,000. That might be obvious, but that also works very well for the stock bonus part, because if you initially deposit, really as little as $500, let's say, but down the line, you go ahead and add more money, like let's say maybe you work your way all the way up to $10,000 in cumulative deposits, then you will get a $200 bonus. So like I said, there are a few things at play that make this the best bonus, in my opinion, on the list. Since that offer is good, but really the greatest in those first 2 months, I'll go ahead and briefly explain what bonus churning, if you don't know what it is. If you're on this channel, you probably do, but just in case you're new here, you can really effectively churn bonuses by strategically moving your cash around to different banks, brokerages, credit cards, even if you want to go down that path to get the best sign-up bonuses. Whether you're targeting higher intro rates, sign-up bonuses, referral bonuses, you can go ahead and claim all of that while still keeping your money liquid and, not tied up in any investment or anything like that. And also not taking on the risk of, let's say, doing something like investing in risky stocks, or even just something like the S&P 500 if the market is just in a downturn. That being said, you don't have to just park your money somewhere for literally like 0.02%. You can also use bankbounty.io to see what the best bonuses are and get updates on when you can close your accounts and maybe sign up for whatever the new bonuses are. But yeah, that being said, Moomoo really is the best offer you're going to be able to find by far. The next one is a bank and not a brokerage, so it is a traditional high yield savings account. So if your goal is specifically getting the highest bank savings rate and you don't mind meeting a couple requirements, then this one is a pretty good option for you. With Axos, you can get up to 4.31% on your savings. But for that to happen, you do have to qualify for the top rate. The good news is that it really isn't too hard to qualify. The first way is receiving at least $1,500 in total qualifying monthly direct deposits and maintaining a $1,500 average daily balance. Now, the good thing with this, as I was talking about churning earlier, and I also showed the Bank Bounty site briefly, there is a deposit trigger section where you can go ahead and see what banks are accepted as a deposit trigger for certain bonuses. The reason why that is so important is because a lot of these different bonuses will say that you need direct deposits to go ahead and maybe get the highest rate, but the truth is that it doesn't always need to be a direct deposit. Sometimes you can just do a simple bank transfer from another accepted bank and it will usually count as a direct deposit in their system. Like for example, with this specific promotion, I'll go ahead and put all the banks that are usually accepted as direct deposits. Now this is just based on user data, so things can change and there's a chance that you might try one and it might not work. So you either will have to, of course, try a different one or do a real direct deposit. But if you want to go ahead and try it out doing this way, some deposits that have worked is transferring from Capital One, transferring from Chase, Fidelity, Novo, SoFi, T-Mobile, Vanguard, Wells Fargo, Ally. Those are all pretty common bank accounts or just accounts that you have. For it to count as a direct deposit, they do have to be push transfers from your existing bank though. So that being said, for example, I have a Fidelity account. I would have to log on to Fidelity, go ahead and add Axos as a external bank account and go ahead and withdraw it from the Fidelity app or, of course, desktop site. That really saves you from all the hassle of, having to switch your bank account every time you get payroll done though. So definitely worth thinking about taking that route. Just to clear something up though, now that we're talking about this strategy, the first Moomoo offer that we talked about does not have to be a direct deposit. So you can go ahead and just transfer money from whatever bank account you have and it will count for the bonus. Even better news though is that Axos gives you a second option to go ahead and get this top rate. The second way is receiving not $1,500 but $5,000 in total monthly deposits and an average daily balance of $5,000. So basically you have to receive just about 3 times as much money, but obviously you don't have to go through the hassle of using one of the specific bank accounts to go ahead and trigger that direct deposit. So Axos is good if you don't mind keeping a minimum balance. Maybe you want a consistent high rate without chasing promos every month. And of course, you either have stable income, so you can go ahead and get those direct deposits, you have $5,000 to transfer, or if you're willing to go ahead and trigger it with one of the usually accepted banks. The next offer, like the first Moomoo one, is insanely good for the initial period that you sign up for. It's for SoFi, so it is pretty much, a traditional bank. But yeah, going back over to bankbounty.io, once again, you can use the site if you want to, or you can go ahead and just click on the direct link down in the description. But the next bonus, as I was saying, is SoFi. Like I said, similar to the Moomoo one, you are getting a bonus dollar amount depending on how much you deposit, and up to a 4% APY. And of course, like they say, no account fees. So starting with the 4% APY, you do only get it if you do these steps, but once again, these steps are pretty easy to do. First of all, you have to open a new SoFi savings account. They say by January 31st, but usually that changes every month because they usually keep this bonus going on. So that will usually change once it becomes February to keep it going on, like I said. But next, all you have to do is go ahead and set up eligible direct deposit within 60 days. Obviously, if you're working and you want to go ahead and just have that set up with payroll, that is pretty easy to do. Or once again, if we go down the churning route and we go over to the Bank Bounty site and we do deposit triggers, we can see that SoFi usually accepts these banks as direct deposits. So we have Ally, Brex, eBay, gig payments, so DoorDash, Grubhub, Instacart, Lyft, Uber Eats, all those, Novo, PNC, and Treasury Direct. So they have a fairly strong list here that most people would probably be able to access. I mean, if you do any gig work at all, like DoorDash, for example, you can go ahead and just transfer that over and you would already be locked into that 4% APY. When I do say locked in though, it does only lock in for 6 months. So like I said, it is more good in the short term, just like the Moomoo one. But even after that, you are still settling at a 3.3% APY, which is not bad at all. Once again, another key thing about this account though, is that you're getting up to $300 in cash as your initial sign-up bonus as well. So if we scroll down to the terms over here, you can see that you do have to deposit a fair amount of money. You have to deposit $5,000 at least if you want to go ahead and get that $300 bonus amount, or you can go ahead and do $1,000 if you want to get $50. Obviously, that's a pretty big jump, and I mean, anything up to 1,000 is 0, or anything below 1,000 is 0. So you might as well try to get one of these bonuses if you can, and you're pretty heavily incentivized to get with the highest tier here. So if you can, really go ahead and try to get that. The good thing is that it doesn't have to be with just one direct deposit. They start your time limit after you get your first eligible direct deposit. So let's say you go ahead and get $2,500 with your first direct deposit on the first of the month, let's say. You have 25 days after that to go ahead and get another $2,500 until your time is up and you're settled at whatever tier you qualified for. So if you're working, it is fairly doable, but once again, remember that you can also go ahead and transfer from one of these accounts, and usually it will count as a direct deposit anyway. So, you should be covered on that end. Once again, though, another key thing that I didn't mention yet is that you can actually move this money back and forth. So that being said, let's say we wanted to go for the highest tier here, which is $300. We have to deposit $5,000, which is, like I said, a fair amount of money. But the good news is that, once again, let's go over here and I'm just going to go ahead and choose PNC, for example. Let's say I have a PNC account and now I want to go ahead and get this bonus with SoFi. The thing is, I can have, let's say, $1,000 on PNC, move it over to SoFi, and that will count as a $1,000 direct deposit. But then I can move it back from SoFi over to PNC, then back to SoFi, and do that 5 times, and that would go ahead and qualify me for the $5,000 bonus, which is the highest tier. And really, there is no limit to how little money you can go ahead and use for this. The only thing is that you have 25 calendar days, so if you assume that a bank transfer usually will take about 2 business days, then obviously you wouldn't be able to do it with like $10 because you just wouldn't be able to move it back and forth enough times. But on the other hand, like I said, if maybe you had $800 sitting in your PNC bank account, you probably do have enough time to move that back and forth before that 25-day window is over. Just a few extra points is that you get up to $3 million in additional FDIC insurance through a network of participating banks. You can get up to 2 days early on your paycheck, and there are, like I said, no account fees. SoFi is also just, in my opinion, a pretty great mobile bank. I think when I signed up, I went ahead and did the free trial on, I forgot what it's called, like SoFi Plus or something like that. And I think they gave me like $50 off anywhere. So basically $50 for free for a free trial that I honestly canceled before I had to pay for it anyway. So that was basically $50 in free money also. So yeah, SoFi is really good if you want a smooth app and quick transfers. And like I said a few times now, just like the Moomoo one, you want that added benefit of having not only a great APY for a limited time period, but also a pretty good cash or stock bonus. The last account I'm going to talk about in today's video is Raisin. Now I will say Raisin's requirements are a bit more than the other ones, so you do have to deposit quite a bit of money if you want to see the best return. But as you can see over here, they offer a 4.05% APY, which is already pretty good, but up to a $1,500 bonus as well. As I just said though, you do have to deposit quite a bit of money if you want to go ahead and max that out, because over here you'll see that you have to deposit $200,000 if you want the $1,500 bonus. And unlike Moomoo, you do have to deposit, their lowest tier is still quite a bit of money. You have to deposit $10,000 if you want any cash bonus at all, where with Moomoo, I forgot, I think it was $500 you could deposit and you at least got some sort of cash bonus. Also, Raisin isn't giving you that intro 8.1% APY, so in my opinion, it isn't as good of a bonus to go ahead and start if you're first starting out with these high yield savings accounts, but it is still a very, very solid option. Like I said, whether you want to take that cash bonus and use it to go ahead and fuel your APY that you're getting, or just use it as, you know, spending money for you, either way, it works out to a great bonus. As you can see right here, you can get over $10 million in FDIC insurance. There are no fees from Raisin. They have a 4.2 star rating on Trustpilot. And yeah, overall, a pretty solid bonus. So if I were you and I wanted the most bang for my buck, as I said a few times in this video now, I would personally go with Moomoo, just because you are getting that 8.1% APY and pretty good cash bonus. But really, it is of course up to you. None of this is financial advice. I'm just giving you my personal opinion. But if you have any questions about any of these offers, go ahead and feel free to comment them down below in the comment section, or email me at support@bankbounty.io. If any of the information in today's video was useful to you, please drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one.